Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am here again at the end of the month to talk about the books that I read. I'm feeling cozy. It's like, it was raining a little bit ago, it just stopped, but because of that, I did not feel like really putting on makeup or doing my hair. So yeah, you're getting cozy Abby today. I've got my sweater. I'm wearing my athleisure. Not that that's really any different from any other video, but I did not feel like really getting ready this morning, and that's okay. So, as I said, we're gonna do the classic monthly reading wrap up. I am gonna go in order of what I read mostly. We're gonna start with a series because I have been reading Throne of Glass. So I read Heir of Fire at the beginning of the month. This was my first book of the month. And 5 stars. I do think Heir of Fire started out for me a little bit slow. I was like waiting for something to happen, for like the plot to pick up. The ending was really good. Like the ending got me, and I'm a sucker for a good ending. Like if it ends good, that will redeem a lot of wrongs. There was really nothing in this book where I was like, there was not that many wrongs to be redeemed except for the fact that it started slow, but it ended amazing. So give and take. I just filmed a whole reading fantasy books for a week video that just went up. I will link it. And I gave a ton of Throne of Glass spoilers in that video. There's a spoiler warning on the video, so don't worry. But if you want to hear me talk about Throne of Glass, I would recommend watching that video. If you've read the books and want to hear my thoughts, watch that video because I talk about it in great detail, and I don't really feel like I can go into that much detail here without really giving it away. We're following, I don't even feel like I can say, I don't know. We're following Aelin, and in this book, she goes to Wendlyn. And this book, she meets Rowan, and she's basically training with Rowan in her like other abilities. And there's still bad things happening in with Kale and Dorian, and I feel like I'm doing a bad job of explaining because I'm trying not to spoil things. So do not watch this video if you want like a plot summary of these books. Heir of Fire was 5 stars though. Let's move on. Next I have Queen of Shadows. This is her coming back from Wendlyn, and kind of this is when the rebellion starts, and we see Aelin kind of embrace herself. And we get like the team starting to form in this book, which I love. I love seeing, we see Rowan come together. We see Aiden, that's how I pronounce his name. Also, I'm probably pronouncing everything wrong. Please ignore that. We see Aiden, we see Lysandra come together. Like we're getting all of the team forming, which I love. So obviously this one was also 5 stars. And then we have, I'm putting these together, Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. These are the books that I read in that only reading fantasy books for a week video. And so again, I'll talk all about them there. They're both 5 stars. I was really skeptical about Tower of Dawn. People had said like not great things about it, and I wasn't that excited to see these characters. I was more invested in these characters, but because I tandem read them, I think that really was helpful. As annoying as it is to tandem read, I tabbed, you can see where I should switch back and forth, and that made it easier There was times where I was like, oh, I really wish I didn't have to go read Tower of Dawn right now. And honestly, sometimes in Tower of Dawn, I was like, oh, I really am interested in what's happening here. I don't want to go to Empire of Storms. But in the end, I loved these characters. I'm really interested to see how they come back together in Kingdom of Ash. But this truly, I was saying I love the team coming together. This is found family. Like, I love anything found family. Like, that's how I felt about Six of Crows. Like, when all these people come together with like all these different skills and talents, and Aelin is truly like forming the Avengers in this book, and really you get to see her come into her power, and I love it. Shocking ending to this. So that being said, right here on my dresser, I have Kingdom of Ash. I took the dust jacket off because I'm reading it currently. There's still a few more days left in the month. I'm filming this before the end of the month because I have stuff going on. I have a wedding. Anyway, I'm pre-filming this, so I anticipate having finished this book by the end of the month, but I haven't finished at the point of me filming, which is Kingdom of Ash. These, oh God. These were both 5 stars, by the way. I'm just dropping everything. This is Kingdom of Ash. I have not finished it yet. I'm obviously anticipating finishing the series with a 5-star book. I don't foresee me really ranking this anything lower than 5 stars. I don't have any thoughts on it yet because I haven't finished. But I wanted to say that I anticipate finishing that this month, and maybe I'll include a clip right here. Hey guys. So I mentioned in this video, I was about to say in my wrap up, that's this video, that I would insert a little bit about me talking about Kingdom of Ash when I finished it. And I finished it last night around 2 a.m. And I was bawling, like sad tears, happy tears, like the full gamut of emotions were what I was feeling last night. All I have to say is Sarah J. Maas is a genius. Like, her worlds that she creates are just beautiful and stunning, and like I loved all the characters. Like, the found family of it all, like, is just it warms my heart, and I thought it was beautiful. And such a great end to a series that I've like spent a lot of time in the past month from reading all the books. Like, I've spent a lot of time with these characters in this series, and it was such a great ending to this and I'm really sad to see it go. Will I be rereading it? Not anytime soon, because it is a lot, but I will definitely be coming back to it. So those are my little thoughts that I wanted to include in this video, because I felt that you would be gypped if I did not give you some thoughts in this wrap up. I'm also filming a full 24-hour reading vlog right now where I finish Throne of Glass. So if you want to see my like reactions and my tears, watch that video, because I was a mess. So anyway, of me talking about that book. So those are the Throne of Glass books that I read this month. Very exciting, and all 5 stars. To be expected. And then I read the first 2 books of the Knock 'Em Out series. I read Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score and Things We Hide from the Light, in kind of in anticipation of the Lucian book coming out. Really, because everyone talks about these like they're amazing, and they're on Kindle Unlimited. And I was just like, oh, it's fun to read something more lighthearted in the midst of reading these thick as freak Throne of Glass books. So I wanted to have something just to like, oh, if I'm sitting getting my oil changed, which I did do, and I don't have my books with me, what can I read? I always have something on lock on my Kindle, and I read both of those this month. I still have not read the Lucian book, but I probably will at some point. Both of those were 3 stars. Some people love Things We Never Got Over, and it was not anything special to me. Sure, Knox and, is his name Knox? Knox and Naomi were a good couple. I liked them together. There were moments where I was like, oh, this is cute, but it wasn't like a 5-star read for me. And I felt the same way about Things We Hide from the Light. One, it's a cop romance, and I usually don't read that. I wouldn't say it's a cop romance. Nash is a cop though, and I don't typically read that. It's not something that I really enjoy. But I liked him and, what's her name? I can't remember. Lena, that's it. I liked them together. I appreciate that there's like other plot besides just the romance. There's like this like kind of like mystery plot going on in that one, which is fun. 3 stars nonetheless. Not amazing. Assistant to the Villain. This was also in my I Read Fantasy Books for a Week video, and I had high hopes for this. One, look at these red sprayed edges. Like, this book I love. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I had really high hopes for this book though, because from what I'd seen on TikTok, people were saying they liked it better than Fourth Wing. I loved Fourth Wing. It's a 6-star read for me. And so I had high hopes that this was going to be like really good, and I didn't like it. I say that, I gave it 3 stars. People were like, oh, I'm never going to get over this. I love it. It was giving juvenile. It was giving like middle grade fiction, but middle grade with like cussing and I don't know, like the plot was middle grade, but some of the content wasn't, but it was also spice free. So if you're looking for no spice, maybe this is for you. No sex, no kissing, like nothing. Which maybe is why I didn't like it that much, to be honest. But yeah, 3.5 if I'm feeling generous about this one. Basically, Evie, she works as an assistant to the villain. That's his name. His like villain name is the Villain, which is stupid. And that's part of what I couldn't get over. I was like, what is this? But basically he hires her, and he has a whole like office building with like staff. There's like an HR person. There's like, he has all these like people working for him as the villain, and they're trying to basically like disrupt King Benedict. We don't really know why. We kind of get a little bit of the villain's backstory eventually onto why he became the villain. And it does have a cliffhanger ending, and it's a series. Will I read the other books in the series? Yes, I'm interested to see where it goes. Am I going to be raving about it like I am going to rave about Throne of Glass and about Fourth Wing? No. But it's, and the other thing is, it's annoying. It's like slow burn, except we still haven't lit the candle. Like, they don't really end up together like you want them to. Like, they don't ever, they like each other from the beginning, but they never admit their feelings to each other. It's like this big secret that everyone knows, but they won't admit it. Like, I don't know. It was annoying. 3.5 stars for this one. Next, I read a Megan Quinn, Untying the Knot was the book. And this is kind of, so I read this whole like interconnected like series, which was like Not So Meet Cute, like So Not Meant to Be, which follows the Kane brothers. And this is like, has some of the Kane brothers in it. This book does, but it's like a separate, it's separate, but you can still see the characters from that series. And I liked the Kane brothers and like their stories, so I was excited to see them again in this, but this was not doing it for me. It ended up being a 2 stars. which I read some Megan Quinn's a few months ago and they were also 2 stars. So maybe I'm just kind of moving past Megan Quinn for a minute. But basically it's like a then now with this couple that's going through a divorce, and you get to see them kind of like fall in love, but also like what's going on in their divorce. But basically the main character's name is Riot, R-Y-O-T, which is crazy. Who names their kid that? And Mila. And they have this great sex life, but Riot doesn't listen to her anymore, so she wants a divorce. And he says, okay, I'll sign the divorce papers if we can pretend to stay together until this wedding that's coming up. And his hope is that he'll convince her to stay with him in this period of time before the wedding. And so they kind of like stay together to not take away from what's happening with the bride and groom at this wedding. So that's the plot, and I don't know. In theory, I would have liked it. Like, Riot is a retired professional baseball player, and I love sports romance. Like, I think professional athletes are like so hot. So I loved it in that sense. I didn't like the divorce aspect, and I didn't like the then and now. I don't know. It wasn't my favorite. Could be someone's cup of tea, but it wasn't mine. Speaking of sports romance, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. It literally was, the game was literally a few days ago where she was at the game, and I'm still reeling. It's still all I can talk about, and I love it. Am I upset because I wanted to date Travis Kelce? Obviously. But I do think I like them together. I think it's cute. So good for them. Moving on. The next 3 are books I read for a different video, which is not up yet and will be up after in a few weeks. So you can expect that coming soon. But I read Anxious People by Frederick Bachman, which I had had on my TBR for way too long, and I loved it. I mean, it was 4 stars, which was unexpected. I usually don't read this type of book. You don't hear me talk about this type of book often on here. It was great. The plot is basically there's a hostage situation. It is a little bit hard to get into. Like, you're like, what? The mode of storytelling is interesting, and it like skips around a lot, and the narrator is like funny, but it's not one of the characters. It's like a third person omniscient narrator who just like sees everything. I don't know. It was interesting narration style. But basically there's a hostage situation, and these like people that are taken hostage, you like learn about them, and Anxious People, it deals a lot with mental health and like anxiety, but there is definitely a trigger warning for suicide with this book. It's definitely a heavy topic of conversation in here, but I loved it. Felt like, I said this in my video, but it felt like one of those like ensemble cast movies, like He's Just Not That Into You, Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve, like one of those ones where you see all these different stories and then all of a sudden they're connected and you didn't realize it. And that's this book, I think, which was kind of fun to see how everyone connected in the end. Next, we have Someone Else's Shoes by Jojo Moyes. Again, I've had this on my TBR for a while and picked it up for this video that I filmed, and it was really good. This was another 4 stars. I had read The Giver of Stars, also by Jojo, and really enjoyed it. I've also read like Me Before You and After You, which are her 2, like, they made Me Before You into a movie. It's really sad, you know. So I knew I had liked some of her other books, but for some reason this just like wasn't calling out to me, so I never picked it up, but it turned out good. Basically, there are 2 women, Nisha and Sam, accidentally switch gym bags at the gym, And Sam ends up with Nisha's like really nice Louboutins, and Nisha ends up with Sam's like busted, crusted shoes. And then Nisha comes to find out that her husband is divorcing her and is leaving her with no money. So she is trying to figure out how to like live basically without the things that she is used to, because she has come to expect everything to be handed to her on a silver platter because of her husband's wealth, and now she doesn't have it. And Sam has a severely depressed husband and a job that is garbage. And you basically follow the two of them as they're trying to switch shoes back, and like you just see how their lives like drastically change, and how when they come together, it honestly had a really good ending. And there was kind of like I don't know, I would say it's women's fiction, but there was like a mystery, like, not mystery. There was like an action moment at the end that was not just like, what's going on in these women's lives? It was like, ooh, something's unfolding and I want to see how it unfolds. So I thought that was really fun. And I ended up giving it 4 stars. So good. Glad I read it. You Again by Kate Goldbeck. And again, I had high hopes for this because it was my book of the month pick. I'd seen a lot of people talking about it. The cover is stunning. Like, I judged a book by its cover. I was like, I love this cover. I want to read this book. That being said, it was average. It was 3 stars. If this book had a rating, it would be R. There was explicit content. There was lots of sex, drugs, like language. It was intense. So if that bothers you, this is definitely not the book for you. And I read like spicy books, and this was like almost, it was too far with like the explicit, like, I don't know. It wasn't for me, but I can see how people are talking about it as like a When Harry Met Sally moment. And I can see that. It's like, can two people of the opposite sex be friends? If they're like attracted to each other, if, you know, like, can they? And so it kind of explores that of When Harry Met Sally. Really, I thought that Ari was a completely unlikable character. I did not like her. I did not want her to end up with Josh. She wasn't nice. And even when she kind of had her redemption at the end, I still didn't like her. I didn't think she was a good friend. She was unmotivated. She was mean. Like, if you want me to root for the characters to end up together, I have to like them. And I didn't like her. I liked Josh. I thought he was interesting. Like, sure, he had issues, but like, he seemed like a good guy, and like, I loved like the chef aspect of it. But it's hard to get over when one of the 2 main characters you don't like. I still gave it 3 stars because I think it's not terrible, but not great. So middle of the road on that one. And then we have a few other Kindle books that I read. I also read The Long Game by Elena Armas. She also wrote The Spanish Love Deception, which I read like a few years ago, and The American Roommate Experiment. And then this is her new release. It just came out, The Long Game, and it's soccer related. So basically the main girl, whose name I can't remember, she messes up, and so her dad sends her to the middle of nowhere to Adeline. That's her name. Sends her to the middle of nowhere in North Carolina to like run this youth soccer program team, and the coach is a retired MLS soccer player, and they end up together. Basically, it's a romance. Like, she's kind of, you know, it's one of those things keep going wrong for her. she's like this like very rigid, stuck up like city girl, and now she's in the country and she's like wearing her heels and like all that jazz. There's like this very palpable sexual tension between her and oh, what's his name? I can't remember. Cam. I can't remember anyone's name. I feel so stupid. There's this very obvious like sexual tension between the two of them, but she feels like she's unlovable kind of thing. It was good. Was it great? No. It was probably a 3.5. It was better than You Again. Maybe I should lower You Again's rating. Maybe it's a 2. Because this was definitely better and this was 3. I'll need to reevaluate on that. Would I recommend? Yes. Was it my favorite? No. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about this book. Next, I read Accidentally Ours. This was a late night impulsive Kindle Unlimited choice. I literally saw it on Kindle Unlimited and I was like, oh, I want to start that. So I started it at like 10 p.m. and then stayed up until 2 to like finish it. I don't want to give anything away, so I'm going to just read it's a steamy age gap secret relationship. So I love age gap. If you tell me there's age gap, I will want it every single time. I love age gap. It's also brother's boss. So it's not like brother's best friend, but they're her brother and the guy are friends and he's her brother's boss. She's young, like 22, and it's like a one night stand where she thinks she's never going to see him again, but then it turns out he's like gonna be in her life, and so they decide that they're just gonna keep have a no strings attached like sexy relationship, because obviously they can't really be together, but their one night stand was so good and the chemistry is so electric that they just keep sleeping together. And it was great. It was fun. It was 3 stars. I smiled. I enjoyed it. Was it a supreme work of art? No. Okay, the sun just came out and the lighting has changed now. I'm so sorry, but was it supreme and the best next great American novel? No. Did I love it? Yes. So 3 stars. And last but not least, I have Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. They're actually turning this into a movie on Netflix with Julia Roberts and Denzel Washington, which is crazy because I didn't like this book. It was 2 stars. There was no ending. The book just stops. No conclusion, none. The whole premise is basically this family goes on vacation in the Hamptons, and one night the people that own the house they're renting a house on Airbnb, and the people that own the house show up and they're knocking on the door like, we just drove from the city, there's a blackout, we have nowhere else to go. And they're like, okay, I guess you can stay here. And then the next morning they wake up and like the TVs aren't working, the phones aren't working, they get no service, they don't know what's going on. All they know is there was a blackout and something's going on. And basically that's the whole book, is them being like, what's going on? We don't know. They're not really trying to figure it out. Some freaky stuff happens, and then you never found out what happened. There's like these loud sounds and you're like, oh, what are those? Are they bombs? Are they like sirens? We don't know. They don't know, and it never tells us. So I'm giving it a 2 stars. There's a lot more to unpack as far as why I think it was 2 stars, but that's my general thoughts on why it was 2 stars. And I have really no other thing to say. I read that one for book club, and I discussed it a lot last night at book club. So I feel like I have nothing else to say about it. Those are all the books I read this month. I think the total, let me count up the total. I think it was like 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Plus Kingdom of Ash will be 15, which is a good number. I feel like that's average, dare I say, for me in a month is 15. Books, last month it was a little bit less, sometimes it's a little bit more, so I think 15 is kind of in the middle. As I said, I have some fun reading vlogs coming. I have a wedding coming that I'm gonna vlog. I've got some good stuff planned for the month of October, so definitely if you're interested, stick around, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, watch my fantasy video. I spent a lot of time on it. Yes, it's really long. It's basically a short film. It's almost 50 minutes long, so make a snack, watch it while you're doing something else, but I'm really proud of it, so go watch it if you have not seen it yet, and I will see you in another video coming soon to this channel. So that's all for now. Bye guys. Mwah.